good morning, Patriots. I'm back. It's been a busy few days doing stuff, media, stirring up trouble. I'm on the headlines of the local paper again. It's always nice. It's like, the more you complain about me, the more, I don't care. So it is what it is. But it's always fun to watch how people react to things and how fake news exists at all levels. And this is another example of it, but it's okay. We get paid to talk, and someone who gets paid to talk a lot is Chris Cordani. Good morning, Chris.
Yes, and I guess I get paid not to talk, to be honest with you.
Well, we're all working to be fully reimbursed for the words we use, which I think is good for some people, but not so much for others. Ketanji Brown Jackson, man, talk about a verbose. Do they pay Supreme Court judges by the bushel of words they use? I mean, my God, it's like, and by the way, she was ruled against. Everybody else said, yeah, you're a DEI hire, and we're not going to rule with you. So it's kind of interesting. But I digress. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Hey, when what's her name? Sotomayor, whatever her name is, Sotomayor, goes against you and says, calm it down a little bit in a subtle way. I mean, something's wrong. Ketanji Brown Jackson is the kind of person she's the Supreme Court justice who represents the generation which does not anymore write essays and can't write essays well anyway. They're not taught that. It's not required in colleges that much anymore. At least some of them, not all of them, but some of them, you don't have to write an essay form. This one, all the colloquialisms in an independent dissent, it was embarrassing last week. It really was.
So it's interesting that I would wonder if one of the Patriots could figure it out. And I'm going to get in the chat here because I'm trying to get my computer just did a bunch of updates, which is why we're late. But beyond that, I do wonder if someone tracks I do know that the number of words, someone tracks the number of words that Supreme Court justices use in oral arguments. And I want to be an interesting equation to conjure is how much she gets paid per word. She must get paid less per word. Like they'd complain about this, Chris. They'd say, well, she gets paid less per word than other judges. Yeah, because she uses so many more. It averages out.
That's right. But there's a cap on words, I suppose. But
yeah,
sometimes people get verbose if they really don't know what they're talking about. That's it. They try to sound smarter than they actually are. Sometimes I'll be
so. Are you talking? What are you talking about? Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren. She uses a lot of words, and she's pretty dumb. Stacey Abrams, another dumb person.
Yes.
Zorhan. That guy uses a lot of words, and I think he's slicker than AOC. He's dumber than AOC. He just knows his lines better, I think.
Well, AOC uses a lot of words too, and so does Jasmine Crockett. You can go down the line here.
Yeah. But Jasmine, as you always point out, she only pretends to be hood. She's not hood.
Well, same with AOC.
She was pretty well educated.
Well, they're both.
Yeah, AOC. Well, yeah, AOC is from Yorktown. And from a little town, nice little town, which we talked about last week, didn't we?
Oh,
yeah, we did.
Even her Bronx neighborhood was not exactly the crime-ridden, mean streets of the Bronx either. Her family moved out of there when she was 5. So the fact checkers immediately ran defense on this whole AOC's from the Bronx. That's what people are saying. She's from the Bronx because she was born there. Yeah, she was born there. She was born in a decent neighborhood. And her family moved out of there when she was 5. So she was going to school in Yorktown. She grew up in Yorktown. She is not a Bronx girl. She's a Yorktown girl. She's a Bronx girl very much like I am a Bronx boy. You know why? I was born in the Bronx in 1969. People don't really know that because at 7 months old, my parents moved out.
Yeah. So there you go.
I could be as street as AOC and Jasmine because I was born in the Bronx. Call me Dr. C from the Bronx. There we go.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good thing. So, but so you left the Bronx. You left the Bronx. Are you and AOC the same age? No, she's younger than you, right?
She's
so
much
you guys
younger than
didn't
me.
leave at the same time, like on the same train.
I give her props. I give her props for the Breakfast Club dance. I can give her that. So that's good. Besides, what do the millennials really have? You know, they don't have any good movies.
Do you think she could teach Hillary Clinton to dance like that?
No, because Hillary Clinton doesn't dance. And to be honest with you, if she really doesn't dance, then she's not going to be a friend of mine either.
That's right. If you can't dance, you're no friend of mine. So that's a good lyric. So, well, let's get back to some of the things more at hand. Anyway, my point being is that if you look at, and Chris made this point, I'm just kind of following on. If you look at how verbose the left is, they say a lot and they mean absolutely nothing. It's all an illusion. As a matter of fact, when do you want to get to the abundance thing? I want to talk about abundance. This new abundance movement. Speaking of phony, yeah.
Oh,
so I don't know if you. Break. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I want to talk about this because I found it interesting when you pointed it out to me off air.
So yeah, the reason I found out about it is you all know I've been off doing things. One of the things I was doing on Monday was the right squad. It's better than the left squad. The left squad version got canceled before it got started because Stacey Abrams ate the crew. I don't know if you knew that. She just ate the whole crew. It's like this. It was tragedy. She ate them all.
Even Star.
Anywho, yeah. Well, they had a competition, and I guess Stacey won. More food goes through the she's got the gap in the teeth, so it goes faster. It's like it creates a vacuum when she's. It's like a feeding thing. Anyway,
she's like a human.
I was on the right squad. There we are. And then with my friend Chris Plant and Mercedes Schlepp, and then Jason, the guy at the end there in the professor. He's a professor. Do you know that? Professor Jason.
Professor, but I hardly know her.
He's a professor. Yeah, he's like a lot of these guys like Dr. Jill Biden. Did you know she's a professor? Did you know that?
I suppose.
I was told.
I was
told to. No, go ahead.
No, I thought she was one of those drag queen story hour readers because that's how she talks.
Well, yes, because that's why I always thought she was a dental proctologist, and I'm told I'm wrong. Yeah, I thought I was right about that, but I'm wrong. Anyway, but I was on the right squad, and I'm right. So during our discussion, our pre-tape discussion, Jason was mentioning this new abundance thing. This didn't make it on the air, so you could go back and watch the show. It was a good episode, a lot of fun. Chris and I always crack each other up. Chris Plant, by the way, if you're in DC, you can listen to him right now. He's on the air. So WMAL, great station. I'm on there often. I used to be one of the part-time standing personalities, which I guess technically I am because I'm available. It's just I don't get used. Anyway, I'm digressing. Anyway, we're sitting there doing, getting ready to roll on air. And then so Jason brings up this abundance thing that's taking the left by storm. It's like, oh, well, this is like another cult thing. It must be a cult thing because I know how these people operate. So apparently, Chris, the left has recognized that their policies of regulation, of harassment of businesses, it ain't working out for them. It's like, who'd have thought? It's like,
it took them a little while, I suppose.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know if you a liberal wing of the liberals. Can I say that? It's like double Dutch dumb. I don't know what that means, but anyway, the liberal wing of the liberals, the liberal left, the left. I don't know. It's just too lefty for me. I don't get. Maybe someone in the chat can explain it to me because I don't get it. Anyway, they got to come up with a gimmick to tell people, look, us telling you what to think and how to think, it's a good thing, and we're going to give you abundance. it's like SpongeBob, imagination. It's like here we go, and that's
and
what's
of course,
coming up.
Yep, and of course, let's just say this Zoran Mamdani becomes the mayor of New York. He becomes the de facto highest-ranking Democrat in the country. I don't care about Congress members or senators at this point. Senate Minority Leader
Yeah.
does not beat the mayor of New York because you're talking about visibility. You're talking about the face of the party at this point. That person who has said he wants to control the means of production, the communist philosophies he espouses. He will become the face of the Democrat or the main face of the Democrat Party because their leadership is gone. That's it. And the Democrat Party is going to finally be out of the proverbial closet as a communist party.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why they're kind of going to this abundance thing. It's like, oh, we want to use the government to create abundance. We want to control means of production for purposes of giving you stuff.
Well, this is why you see. This is why you saw Joe Biden pat himself on the back over job creation with the Inflation Enhancement Act. The idea was to create government jobs or government contract jobs. And that's kind of like creating a fake economy, fake money, and devaluing our currency much more by printing more because, heck, where the heck is that money going to come from?
Right.
Our money supply is way too high right now.
Yeah. So I think that's the thing. So just buyer beware. You Patriots are all smarter than the average bear, thank goodness. You're here after all, right? Right, Chris? They're here with us, so they got to be smart.
That's true. And definitely both kinds of bears, by the way.
Be aware. That's right. What kind of bears are there, Chris? Tell us about this.
Well, there are the bears that generally...
Da bears?
Yeah,
da bears.
They're the bears. And then there are the bears that you see frequently roaming around some parts of, let's say, San Francisco and New York City.
Man, oh man, I don't like those bears, but it's okay. So, but speaking of 1970s porn, we'll let that go. Anyway, the issues regarding the abundance movement is coming to get you. So they're trying hard, Chris. They've got some real interesting intellects trying to scramble to figure things out. And so they think, I'm doing a talk on this in September, and September is rolling right along. It's almost here. So for a local women's Republican group, and the theme is the constant promises of the left. How the left constantly they will merchandise pain, offer solutions that they'll never give you. It's all about just keeping you hoping, keeping you on the hook, basically trying to figure a way to identify your pain, make you a victim, promise a solution, and rinse and repeat. That's like they're not going to give you anything.
They feel your pain, Tony.
I feel your pain, Chris. I don't know about Monica or Hillary. Was Hillary in that cell with Jeffrey Epstein? I think she was gone that night to New York. So did Jeffrey Epstein, was he in that cell with poached eggs? Was Jeffrey Epstein's eggs poached?
Maybe
I think they were poached by Hillary. Just saying.
Well, here's something for you. Even Donald Trump actually went off on a reporter for asking questions about this. Well, this is one thing that really bugs me because normally Donald Trump is fine with these questions. He usually says,
"Of course,
all right, I'm going to answer this." He is one guy to once in a while he'll just get upset about things like that. We're going off subject, but he is usually one guy who'll answer any question.
No, this is on topic.
Right.
So you're saying this is out of character. Is that what you're saying, Chris?
I think this is very out of character. And this is I want you to hear this, Patriots. If you haven't seen this already, check this out because this is just out of character for Trump. And what bothers me is this administration is now possibly involved in this Epstein cover-up. I don't like to say that, but there are probably forces more powerful than anybody here. But this again reinforces the lack of faith in government that we have on this side of the coin.
made sense.
Yeah, sure. If
Hey,
I
Pam,
could,
could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and
I can
also
believe they're
tragedy
asking it.
with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK,
That's not what she
MLK
said. That's
file.
not what she said.
No, she said the client list. And now watch her as she moves along to the video. Nobody asked for the
Yeah.
video. Nobody asked to see
Right.
child porn. We asked
Right.
who's behind this and why did it happen? And we want people to
Who?
pay.
No.
for
Let me
content
be
for
clear on this.
trafficking
Let me
children.
be clear on this. We don't want to see the child porn. We want to see who was participating, as in the
Right.
mail, as in who the client was. All right. Keep going.
Yes.
Else as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day.
I see that. Well, is he meaning general child porn or does she mean videotapes of what happened on the island? See, that
She's
that
not
child
clear on
porn
that
runs the
for
full
non-believers.
gamut. Exactly. She's trying
Yeah.
to get us to believe that it was just downloaded child porn.
To him being an
Yeah.
agent,
So
I have
keep
Tony?
going. I didn't mean to interrupt.
no knowledge
I
about
didn't
that.
mean to
We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on
Okay, yeah. Okay. You believe that one, Tony?
No. So let's break this down a little bit. Hold on a second. I'm trying to do something. Speaking of Chris Plant. Anyway,
He's planting the seeds.
he's on air. He's on air. I don't want to bug. We bug each other. Just saying. So I'm not. Go away, Chris. Anyway,
Yeah, everybody says, "Go away, Chris."
go away, Chris. That's right. You're another Chris. There's too many Chris's in this conversation.
He says that to
Anyway,
me a lot too, by the way, people.
So, as you said, and the Patriots know this too. What Trump said is out of character. Yes, he usually takes these things head on. Why? Because there's something there they don't want to talk about. So this is what we call a demeanor hit in my business. Like, oh, okay, that's a demeanor hit. That's not typical demeanor of one Donald J. Trump. So what does that mean? I am not a conspiracy guy. I know people think the left thinks I am, but no, I only go out when I know something is real. So here's what's real. Epstein was being used by 3 different intelligence agencies: CIA, the Mossad, and MI6. Now, why was he being used? Well, I'll leave it to your imagination. But Chris, Patriots, how did he become a billionaire after being a math teacher in New York City? Look it up. The guy was hired to be a math teacher in New York City by Bill Barr's dad. Ooh, how did that happen?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, math is now racist, so there's no place for him at this point.
Yeah.
In the school
So
system.
think about this. Isn't this an interesting 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon? Not that Kevin Bacon's involved. Don't write the show. Don't complain to Kevin. We do have someone on later, right? This is Dean's going to be here today.
Yes, we have Dean Cain on today, by the way, and he's coming.
We'll ask Dean about Kevin
9:30.
Bacon.
Yes.
That 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon. So yes, I know Dean. Dean's a good guy. Anyway, so look for Superman later. So think about this. Epstein's a teacher in New York City. Next thing you know, he's a billionaire. How does that happen? Seriously, how does that happen? Hey, Chris, how many how many teachers in the Bronx do you know that are now billionaires? I'll wait.
Well, I will tell you this. I know one person who doesn't know anybody from the Bronx or any teacher from the Bronx at all, and that would be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, because
That's
she
true.
did not go to school there. But
That's
you're
true.
right. How did this guy become a billionaire? How did he get to hang out with all the lovelies and the posh people, if you will, if he was just
Yeah.
a math teacher? And keep in mind, I want to
Yeah.
submit you to this one. I want to submit this to you, Tony. They talk about shiny keys. I know some are saying the shiny keys are the new uh, investigation on or the charges towards Comey and Brennan. The shiny keys were always P. Diddy,
That
because when the Epstein files were not going to be released and everything else, and client list is going to be somehow missing, as it is apparently, people they're going to be saying, well, at least we got P. Diddy, and they didn't even get him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So I was talking to some of my Newsmax colleagues. I don't want to get them in trouble, but we're all sitting there. It's like, why is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison if there was no clients? Like, I think she was convicted of basically being, the madame for the whole operation. So so I'm just going to say it. And look, we call it our own side here. There's something going on, and I don't know what it is yet. I haven't got enough facts. I do believe it has something to do with people on the conservative side being on that list. And let me be clear here. As you pointed out already, Chris, nobody's asking for child porn. That's not, nobody said that. Nobody implied that. What they want to know is who was buying into having sex with the children. That's what we want to know. That's it. And so
exactly.
That's what we were promised. It's a campaign promise. And why I think this is important is because this I think will start to show the outline of the corruption on our side. Yes, there's corruption on the Republican side, and I think that's something I'd like to believe President Trump will pursue. Anyway, so the rumor I'm hearing is that certain members of elected office are on that list, and they're not Democrats. That's what I'm hearing.
I heard that rumor from Nancy Pelosi's daughter years back. Nancy Pelosi's daughter tweeted out when it was called Twitter, that some of their faves, that's the word, faves she used, might be on the list. And all of a sudden, the list was gone. So the talk of the list happened years ago, during the original arrest of Epstein, around the suicide.
Exactly.
Well, then apparently the talk went down. And now apparently that list that's been discussed all these years doesn't exist. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We don't believe it. What I believe is going to be revealed is that governments, our allied governments, are going to be found to be perpetrators or look the other way when it came to child sex trafficking as a means to an end.
So
people in compromising positions.
Yeah. So you showed the picture of the Right Squad. I don't remember the lady next to me. I should. I don't. My apologies. Anyway, again, pre-show, we're sitting here talking about all this, and I say, because she was saying all on and on. She was giving the party line about why it's inappropriate for the names to be released. I said, and I told her, like, yeah, it's nonsense. What do you mean it's nonsense? Like, we were using Epstein to compromise people in places of power. And she gave me this like, what do you mean? It's like, oh yeah. And it was MI6 and Mossad as well. And it's like, you mean they were using children to compromise? Why? Because we're spies and we compromise people. And I swear to God, her face looked shocked. It was that Jim Kirk.
But leave kids out of it. That's enough. I understand if you want to expose pedophiles.
Yes. Don't conflate what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm not saying we should do it. I'm saying we did it. I'm saying that's what they don't want to talk about.
Right. I'm not saying you want to do it. I'm not saying it was a great thing to do. I understand
no.
you're not a part of that.
I'm helping Cherie. Cherie Curry and I were going back and forth on this whole protecting the children thing yesterday. So, and she's on the warpath again. Good for her going after these folks. So
we're going to have to get her back on to talk about it. But
we will, and we'll talk a little bit with this Dean too. I'm sorry. Keep going, Chris. Sorry.
No, but this is the point I'm trying to make here. Governments are actually discarding the lives of children. I cannot get this out of my head here. The governments are, and keep in mind, Donald Trump, one of the things he ran on was ending child trafficking or cracking down harshly on it. But when our governments condone, and not only condone, actually employ such a tactic just to put somebody in a compromised position, you could honeypot with an older woman, somebody who's of age. And again, I'm not for trafficking, but apparently that's what the espionage quarter is for anyway, when it comes to getting people to do that.
It happens.
But children, I don't know what happens, but it's going to be revealed that we condone this sort of thing, and that's another issue that the free world is not going to be able to escape at this point.
I just want that. Let's connect the dots here for a second. And yeah, let's be blunt. Let's not pretend that this isn't an adult show. From the beginning of time, two things have been happening: spying and prostitution. It happens. It goes back, literally to the beginning of civilization. So it is what it is. In the spy business, there are things called honeypots. Yes, they do happen. As a matter of fact, it happens. Other people use honeypots that aren't in the government. Those are called Democrats. No. I don't mean that. So what I do mean, though, is that there's a term for what we're talking about. Chris, do you know what that term is?
I'm actually anxiously awaiting for that term. I'm waiting for you to utter that term. That is.
It's called brownstoning. When you do a honeypot, but you use a child, it's called brownstoning. You know why? Because of Jeffrey Epstein. He lived in a brownstone.
There we go. Maybe they could switch it to gerbil stoning instead.
Well, we'll talk about Mr. Gerbil Central there in a second. I got a lot of good coverage on my X account out of him leaving the country. By the way, it happened last year, but it was still fun to bring it back up. And who doesn't love gerbils, right? Well, apparently, maybe he does. I don't know.
Yeah, but we do have a special guest here.
Back to the topic. Is Dean here yet?
Yeah, we have a special guest right now, Dean. Tony. See, now we just slipped it up here. But let's welcome Dean Cain.
Morning, Dean.
Superman extraordinaire.
All right. Good morning, gents.
Superman. God bless you, Dean. Hey, good to see you.
God bless you, my friend.
Now, one disclaimer.
Hello, Chris.
One disclaimer. Nice to meet you, Dean. One disclaimer. This is not the woke Superman you'll be seeing in the theaters very, very soon, where James Gunn and his brother were calling us all sorts of names for pointing out the political message, if you will. No, this is the rather handsome one with the girl, with Terry Hatcher, as a matter of fact. So excellent stuff. Welcome, Dean.
So
thank you very
much.
And
Dean, let me say this to the Patriots. I saw you at SingPack, and yes, he's still buff. He's still cut. I don't know what he's doing, but man, oh man, it's like and he ain't growing old. I think he's younger now than before, right?
He's like you, Tony.
Exactly.
Well,
I have to grow a beard to hide
my
face,
my secret is cigars and pull-ups. So, all right, so Dean, we were just kind of going through the topicality, and by the way, one of the issues which we're talking about is Epstein. Oh, by the way, before we go, I saw you tweet out back on the gun thing. I saw you tweet out someone did a really nice tribute and had all the Supermans, the real ones, not the ones who want to be touchy-feely, with your face on there. It was great. I think you commented on that post. It was very complimentary to you, my friend. So it was very cool.
Yeah, more often than not, it's about look at all these wonderful Supermen. Quote, not you, Dean. You know, that sort of a thing, because the people
you were included. You were included.
I was finally included. But it's so often it's the opposite. It's they'll actually not include me or say something like "not you," which is so telling. It's so inclusive. It's so tolerant. You know, because they don't appreciate my political opinions. I imagine because they never say why. I'd like to hear why.
Yeah.
They never want to get into it on that.
No, of course not. Of course not. So one of the guys, which I mentioned to you, I know, and we're like brothers because we both played characters named Stryker. My friend Bob. Hey, yeah, no, I'm not joking. Bob Hayes played
Airplane.
Stryker, Airplane, and when I was in Afghanistan undercover, I was Chris Stryker. So I'm not sure. I'm completely serious. So Bob and I are like brothers now, and so anytime we go somewhere, we go as the Stryker brothers. So it's kind of fun. It is.
Now
fun.
I'll know where to look for you when I look for you at a hotel.
He has a couple
Surely
of
you
other
must be
names too.
joking.
Well, he also had,
Surely you must be joking.
he also has
It's not
Carlos
Shirley,
Danger as another nickname.
I
So
don't want to say what my nickname is, but because I'd like to be able to be I'd like to be able to be anonymous on that. And I know of all shows, I wouldn't give up my nickname here.
that's good.
No.
Well, so
You
we'll
probably already
move
know
on
it.
to stuff.
Well, it isn't Lancelot Link.
It is
No.
not.
Chris.
If they have Superman movies, why don't we have Lancelot Link movies? I'd go watch that, and they definitely wouldn't be woke either.
Are they going to put Chris? Are they going to put you in the remake? Are you auditioning right now for that?
Hey, I'm auditioning for Baron von Chimp. I would make a great
That's right.
Baron von Chimp.
Absolutely.
So speaking of the 70s, so one of our friends, Cherie Curry, is on the warpath over transgender issues. And by the way, Dean, how's your homecoming? Because I know your home on the coast of your family home was hit. How's the recovery coming on that? Is that better?
We fortunately had just moved out, so we moved a lot when I was younger in different places and throughout the years. So of the last 6 houses our family was in, or that I owned, or that I was in, 4 of them burned, including one that my mother and father built from the ground. But we're out here. We moved to Henderson, Nevada, so we're out of California. We got out.
So Cherie's sister lives out there. I was out to see Maria a while back in Henderson. Yeah,
I saw somewhere on social media they were talking about Vegas. I was away, and I was like, because I'd love to get out there and say hi, because she's kind of awesome. But we're so happy to be out of California. I can't even tell you.
So Cherie still lives there in the valley, and so she was telling me the other day that she was, and I've been in her backyard there. Dean, she had 100-mile-an-hour Santa Ana wind come whipping through and knock everything down. I mean, how do you people live with that stuff? I mean, I have winds here in North Carolina, but how do you live with that?
We don't have tornadoes, so we kind of, we just balance it out. So, when the Santa Ana winds are coming and you're aware of it, they red flag warnings everywhere. You try and prepare. I grew up in Malibu my whole life, so we usually stay and fight the fires. We're used to doing that. We've done it since, I remember the first fight with the fire that I remember was 1973. Obviously, Gavin Newsom has done a terrible job with forest management and preparation. So I put so much of the blame firmly on the leadership there, because it's not new. It's not any different. Those winds come whipping through the canyons. I used to live on the other side of the canyon, and we would just get wind ripping through. So we knew what to look out for, when to be concerned, and how to prepare. Unfortunately, they just didn't do it. They were, I don't know what they were thinking. I think they weren't thinking. I know Mayor Bass was in Ghana, and they just did a horrible job of preparing. The worst part I said, though, was after it was over, and I've been proven very correct at this point, which is you'll never get a permit to build anything. There's nothing being built. Adam Carolla's doing a great job on talking about this out there, because he was a builder anyway, and he lives out there in Malibu, and he's a friend of mine. He is so on top of it. They won't give building permits in the Palisades, all of Malibu along the coastline there. Forget it. It's just not going to happen. It's going to be a giant land grab, and it's just awful for the residents who are there, who are still paying their property taxes, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I don't understand.
That's still happening in Maui, gentlemen.
Oh, gosh.
After that wildfire.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
That's what I don't understand. We were talking about Democrats earlier today. I don't know if you've heard, their new concept is abundance. They have this, Dean, I kid you not. I know, it's great. So I was on the Right Squad the other night, and Jason, the token Democrat, and he probably tokes before he comes on, just saying. Not that I'm not.
He never looks happy. I love Jason, but he never looks happy.
Not here to judge. So Jason was talking off camera about this new, it's the in thing, the abundance movement, man. No, he didn't do the man thing. I did that. But it was,
the 70s.
I feel like the 70s. And he said, this is what we're going to do to take back the demographic. So what they're going to do, Dean, this is great, is they figure out the regulation you're talking about. People don't like it. They don't like being told what to do. They don't like being told what to think. So, we're going to reinvent it. We're going to tell them, we, the government, are going to make you abundant.
Well, the abundance theory comes from J.D. Pritzker, by the way. He was talking about things that are abundant, but then abundant was the buffet table. That's what he was looking at right there.
That's right. That's right.
No doubt about it. I just don't find that to be. That's about as catchy as Kamala running for president. This is. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Go ahead. I think that's a great idea. Keep going, Dems. Keep going. Let's go.
Well, apparently, Dean, we've been misinformed. Apparently, the government controlling means of production is the way to go, so they can give us abundance.
Yeah. That I don't think Zorhan Mamdani is going to escape that one. I mean, you see him clear as day. It's not AI. He says it clear. It's just the most ridiculous thing for anybody who studied any history for any length of time. It just never works. I was in Hanoi in Vietnam, and I was out there doing a special on some of the kids and some of the effects from having Agent Orange and other things dumped on them, and some bad stuff that was awful in wartime. And I had a handler with me, and we were visiting different places, and there was a lot of people. You'd see this one room sort of shack, and there'd be 12 people living in there, et cetera, et cetera. And I looked up on the hill, and I go, "What are those homes? Those are beautiful." I said, "Oh, those are the party headquarters. Those are the party people. That's where they live." And you just see the disparity in a communist socialist country. If you're ever actually there, it's insane. And anybody who talks socialism to me just has zero concept whatsoever. There's some great stuff on the internet where guys are like, okay, you support socialism. Great. You're here in college. This is wonderful. So how about some of the guys who are getting C's and D's, because you're getting A's, we'll just even the playing field. And they're like, no, I don't want that. I work hard for this. Well, welcome to capitalism versus socialism, my friend. Insane.
Yeah. So that's part of what I think Marxism brings in general. It's not just about economic disparity they're trying to fix. One of the things I mentioned, Cherie. So Cherie Curry has been on a warpath with our friend. You probably know her, Susan Olson from the Brady Bunch. Susan.
Oh yeah.
Susan and Cherie have been working to basically get people to wake up. We were talking about Epstein earlier, and I don't want to go back through that, but Epstein didn't kill himself. And Dean, just for you to kind of know, I've been talking about this morning. There's something really up. I love President Trump. I was advising his campaign 2020, but they're not telling us everything about Epstein. And here's why. Epstein was engaged as an intelligence asset of CIA, Mossad, and MI6. So just accept the fact that, we kind of know this now. Just tell the truth and be done with it. Because the idea that there were no clients, like you said, there was a client list. Oh, no. There is just documents on my desk. Come on. Yeah. Come on.
That's not a winning one for everybody at the moment.
No.
I don't know what the situation is. What I do know, though, for absolute fact, is I was not on the client list.
Well, that's a good thing. We don't want we can't have Epstein client people on this program.
Yeah,
we can get fired.
Well, maybe they would spill the beans. Yeah, I know that I'm not on it, and I love this. I love what President Trump's been doing. I love this administration. Yeah. So I hate to see that happen and that sort of negativity. And Bongino's a friend, and I root for these guys, and I root for it.
I know Dan. I know Dan too.
I know.
I like Dan.
But they were railing on.
So I don't know what's going on. Anyway.
Well, you know more about the quiet inner workings, my friend, than I do.
Tony.
So that's what it is.
Right.
Yeah, and we're hearing there's some names from the conservative side that may have been involved. So I think that's the other thing they don't want to talk about. It's like, I think we need to have the cleansing, like take that deep cleansing breath.
People who vote Republican, people who voted for Donald Trump, don't want those people on the conservative end. They don't want to be associated with them. Weed them out. That's the whole
I agree
point.
with that.
Yeah.
That's what we want. It doesn't matter what side you're on. Yeah.
But speaking of that, but back to Cherie. So Cherie and Susan have been working on this movement in California. God bless them. They still live in California. I mean,
I don't know how they do it.
It's like, but they're fighting the good fight, because one of the things they're trying to do is educate people, Dean, on how insidious the left is regarding recruiting, grooming children. That's why you see all these shows. What do you call those things? The drag queen story hour, Chris. How many of those you've been to, Chris? You go to those? I don't go to those, but
the only ones I've seen were Jill Biden reading from some kind of script to Democrat voters, like a third grade teacher or a first grade teacher, and turning the page. Turn the page. Time to turn the page.
Oh, that was Waltz.
So
that was Waltz.
That was Waltz.
That's another drag queen.
Waltz's wife.
Yeah. Another.
Yeah. So
turn the page.
By the way, Dean, who do you think would be the better drag queen, Pritzker or Waltz? Who would look better in drag? We should ask the Patriots.
Isn't Waltz already in drag?
Yeah, he's kind of light on his feet. He's like the
hands. Yay.
He's like the Peter Pan of the left. Just saying. So Yeah. So back to Cherie. So Cherie and Susan have been fighting this fight, and by the way, now there's evidence of detransitioning. So one of the things now, there's a 25 year record, Dean, of people being recruited. And by the way, big pharma, big medicine, this is a big money maker. So this is a corporate movement on the left. And to your point, the left is in bed with corporations. It's like, oh, no, we're for the little guys. It's like, no, you're not. You abuse the little guy. So my question to you, Dean, how much should President Trump and others on our side start pushing back even harder on the transgender movement regarding the fact that they're trying to recruit kids, they're trying to do insidious things, and is now the time to just say enough's enough? We're going to make laws against this sort of thing.
Well, I think we are already doing that, which makes me very happy. And it is crazy and it is insidious. I can't understand as a parent. My son's 25 now. He wanted to be a bird back in the day. I didn't put feathers on him and I didn't throw him out. But it's just insane to me that you want to and transition these children and brainwash them and do these things. And it's a time we're going to look back on, I think, in history and go, what the hell was going on there? What were we thinking? How could we allow it? Because I think it's totally insane. The great thing about it is that it's an 80-20 issue in that sense, that everybody is like, this is insane. And people are starting to speak up about it. And we have that 25 years of watching what happens where people, go in and transition and then try to detransition, and they're speaking out about it. I think that's great. And I think at the same time, President Trump, doing things like getting men out of women's sports, and we're still trying to weed through that, which is insane. As a former professional athlete, it's just insane. And my last several friends who are girlfriends, are all pro athletes. I mean, I really love athletes, and I think it's a wonderful thing. But men shouldn't be competing against women, so that's crazy. So the fact that these things are happening makes me very happy. And I hope it continues. And I don't know if I think it's a combination of the administration or this Congress making some laws to clean that up, and then public sentiment just getting louder and louder, going, what is wrong with you? Like, I don't care what any adult does. Do whatever you want to in your home, and whatever your sex life is great. Doesn't mean it has to be celebrated. You don't celebrate my sex life. Actually, I celebrate my sex life, but whatever.
I think that's valid. Because one of the running gags we have here on the show is Gerbil Pride Month. I can't believe we don't celebrate. And I heard Richard Gere left with all of his gerbils. I mean, man, oh man.
I remember that story from being a child. And,
I remember that too. That was a big one. That was a big one.
Yeah, and it doesn't it doesn't get easier over time.
Well, I've known nurses, and I've known a lot of nurses and doctors who worked in the ER over the years, and they've told me stories that make the Richard Gere story look like nothing.
Yeah,
Drag Queen story hour.
a lot of things going up there. But again, what everybody does in there, if you're an adult, whatever you do sexually, if you decide that that's your thing and everybody's okay with it, and it's adults and you're consensual, fine. Leave the children out of your delusions and out of your
of course.
fantasies.
And I'm not celebrating sex life either. Forget it. Maybe Ron Jeremy, but that's about it. Not celebrating anybody's sex life.
Oh God. Oh God.
I'm going to pretend like I don't know who he is.
We should have
Speaking of the California penal system, that's where he's at. Just saying.
Uh-huh.
Anywho.
Anyway. Hey-o.
It's true. Come on. See, Dean, you're new to the show. I get in trouble for speaking the truth all the time. And what I said was the absolute provable fact. He is in the penal system.
Yes, he is. I think he is the penal system.
This is bad.
Thank you. Bump.
That's right. So, all right, Chris, what else do you want to bring up to Dean? I've been taking up all the oxygen.
No. This is all good. This is what the sidekick does. I just make a couple of jokes and say hey-o. That's always great. As long as I can drink while I'm on the air, I'm great.
Ed McMahon, baby.
Yeah. On the serious note, I asked a question to the Patriots. Who would win in a fight between Superman and Goku? And that's a tough one, but I think most of the Patriots say Superman here. What are you thinking there, Dean?
I don't know what Goku's special power is because I hear this one at Comic-Cons when I go out there and they're like, it's Goku. He could take. I'm like, how? What does Goku do? I don't know. So I don't know Goku's. I guess he can time travel or do something, but
he has me. I like Goku. I'm a big fan of Goku, but here's the thing about, and this was explained to me by a friend of mine who was an anime expert. Goku fights very hard every year to overcome his limits. Superman apparently has no limits.
Yeah, what limits?
Right.
Yeah,
and that's the big difference.
I think it'd be very quick, just like the Batman versus Superman. We had a whole movie about that, and I thought it should be like this: "Hi, I'm Superman, and I'm Batman." Boom, end of story.
That was Superman versus Guy Gardner. There was that episode. There was that. It was a Justice League thing where Guy Gardner's yelling at Superman. So I was like, you know what? I could beat you without the ring. Took the ring off, and Superman one punches.
As it should be. I mean, I haven't seen the new film though. I'm interested to see it. I was excited to see it, and I didn't. I wasn't really happy with the sort of the comments that came out about it being political because everything. You can put a message in. You don't have to say it's political. We'll be able to see it and figure it out. Right. But I was excited because I was hoping it would have a sense of humor and that it would be back to the Superman that I enjoyed, like the Christopher Reeve version, who is my Superman. So I withhold any sort of judgment until I see it. But I've heard some people said it's pretty good. Some people said it's I don't know yet because I haven't seen it, but I reserve judgment till then. But it's like dating. I'm hopeful, but very skeptical.
Excellent.
You and me both, brother. You and me both. No, I actually lucked out. Dean, you don't know this. I got divorced. And
congratulations.
Thank you. No, but
lucked out.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. But I met a Navy lieutenant commander. She's a nurse, and now that I'm a senior citizen, I'm coming up on 63. And it's like, whoa, I better make an investment on my future and make sure I got someone that can nurse me. Just saying. So
the question is,
she's like my trophy bride. She's my trophy wife too. Yeah, she's like my trophy bride. So she's younger.
But aren't you guys the same rank?
No, I'm a lieutenant colonel. I outrank her, so I can boss her around. Just saying.
There you go.
I thought I heard.
That's right.
I thought I heard she was lieutenant colonel.
That's right. No. I've got silver oak leaves.
Yes, you do.
She's got yellow ones, gold.
Do you have
just say it,
Tony? I was meaning to ask you this.
It's good. It's better than you outrank her.
Tony.
What?
Do you have a hat with fishing lures too? One of those hats with the fishing lures? That would look pretty awesome on you.
No, we could go down the MASH rabbit hole, but before we go down to I want to finish with Superman. So, Dean, I got to ask you a serious question about your performance of Superman. Would you have had a stronger performance if they were able to recruit Marlon Brando, Colonel Kurt's character playing Jor-El, would that have been better? Where he's like telling you like making you hang out in the cave in your TV show, and making you paint your face. And
I tell you what, if he wanted to come on, I would have been pretty happy, because Brando was certainly a legend. We did have some good people come on though.
Oh, he was.
Tony Curtis, and we did have Raquel Welch. I got to kiss Raquel Welch.
Awesome.
Ooh.
So yeah, I actually called my dad that day from set, and my dad's a director, so he's very used to all this stuff. But I called him and I was like, Dad, guess what I got to do today? He's like, I don't know. You get to hang from wires and fly around. I go, no, I just kissed Raquel Welch. And it was dead silent, just dead silent. And then I could hear him laughing, and I could just the ridiculousness of this little baby boy, his baby boy now being able to kiss one of the, the beauty icons of my dad's era. It was awesome. And listen, I enjoyed it. But it was crazy. And I loved the way our Superman portrayed Clark as the guy and the romance. And I thought it was fantastic. I'm super proud of the show. And it was something I think that was missing from the last sort of iterations of it. So I don't know what this one's going to be. I hope it's good. There's some great images already. I hear some nice things. I hear some not so nice things. And I guess that's true for anything in this world nowadays, but I'll reserve judgment till I see it, which won't be until at least next week. Because somehow I didn't get invited to the premiere.
All the Superman should be over there. I'm looking forward to the movie. Again, politics aside, because I know James Gunn does make good movies. So hey, let's
Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one was great.
Guardians of the Galaxy was great, and it wasn't woke, which is great.
But he's a great creator. Having said that, I also want to see Guy Gardner in a movie. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. He's my favorite. He's my second favorite Green Lantern. The other one is that mathematic equation, DeCurtsey RRR, but he never really gets into doing anything.
You got me beat on that one.
It's a living.
You lost me on that for real. You're really going down the rabbit hole.
So Dean, Chris is a real geek. I pretend to be a geek. He's a real geek. Just saying.
Well, he just proved it right there.
He just
proved it right there.
You want to tell us about the? Are we going to talk about Doctor Who next, Chris?
Well, I not the chick one.
No, no Jodie Whittaker here. Capaldi was the last Doctor Who, as far as I'm concerned. Just saying. Let's not go down the Doctor Who rabbit hole. We could go down. Tom Baker. I love Tom Baker.
This is DeCurtsey RRR. It's a living equation.
Wow. All right, you've gone way into the rabbit hole now.
Is that worth is that like a Bitcoin thing, Chris? Is it like Bitcoin?
I don't know.
Or am I mixing things?
I don't know what it is. It's just it's only been mentioned a couple of times. Obviously, it can't really show up for anything, can it?
Well, let's talk about a little bit about Hollywood. So, Dean, we love you. The chat loves you. So I was going to high school in Lisbon, Portugal back in '77. That tells you how old I am. And we got word they were filming The Boys from Brazil. You've seen the movie Boys from Brazil, with you must have seen it. This is with James Mason, Gielgud, and not Gielgud, the other guy that was that played Wuthering Heights. Oh, I always forget his name. British actors, and then Gregory Peck. Gregory Peck starred as Dr. Mingulay. And so So we went down to Casino Estoril. By the way, in Lisbon, if you get to Lisbon, if you ever go to Lisbon, Cascais and Estoril, that's where Ian Fleming actually did intelligence operations during World War II. And all of the James Bond series is based on what he was doing in Lisbon, Portugal. Little known trivia since I went to high school.
I love that.
Anyway, so we kids, I think I was 15. It's like we got word they were filming this. Ooh, let's go check it out. And we're in our little school uniforms. We go down, and we're standing outside the casino at 4:30 in the afternoon. And you know what it's like after being on set all day. You're filming, you're cutting, you're redoing. So this is late in the day, and they've been filming since the morning. And out walks Gregory Peck dressed as Dr. Mingulay, all pasty skinned with a big mustache and a white suit. And he looks at us as, hello, boys. What are you doing here?
Scattered.
Yeah, no, it's like, oh my God, he's talking to us. And then he was the,
Where's
so my
Dr.
point,
Mengele?
the point I'm making, there's good guys in Hollywood. Dean's a good one. Anyway, so Gregory Peck, he says, hey, do you know what this movie's about? There he is. That's him. That's what he came out looking like.
The guy
And
played
so-
Abraham Lincoln and Dr. Mengele in his career. Now,
What
that's reach.
a talent. What a talent. Anyway, my
Amazing.
point, Dean, is that he took the time. He said, hey, do you know what he said? And he said, well, walk with me to my trailer. I'll tell you about it. So,
Wow.
Dean, after a full day of shooting, this guy's been on set. He's like an old guy. And he takes the time and just walks with us and talks. And it was like, holy cow. This, and I still remember it like yesterday. And so, Dean, there are good people in Hollywood like you, but you know, I mean, so it's interesting that, you know, often you meet, when they say don't meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed. People like you, people like Gregory Peck, man, oh man, you guys are the real deal. So, you know, the Patriots love you, and we love having you on here. So this is great.
Well, I think there's
music
some really good folks. Yeah, sometimes it's few and far between. And unfortunately, that business people tend to be very narcissistic and believe everything good that's written about themselves, and also be horrified and trying to hang on like a cat going over the edge, you know, for everything. They run on a lot of fear and a lot of that. Not everybody. There's some really great folks, but you know, I don't tend to hang out with too many actors. Most of them, you know, because they're actors. It's like hanging out with politicians. I more hang out with athletes and things like of that nature, which is, you know, or guys like you, if you allow me to. And
we love hanging out. No,
yeah,
it's great.
So that's the stuff that makes a difference to me. But there are some good folks in Hollywood. They just kind of get buried in the system because there used to be only a few people making all the decisions in Hollywood. And now that there's so many more outlets, there are more people able to create more things and do stuff. And there's a lot of tremendous patriots within the business, you know, Gary Sinise and Nick Searcy and guys like that. Gary's just awesome. And he's one of the best guys I know. He should get the Presidential Medal of Freedom, but I don't get to give it out. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So, well, one of the guys, so the couple folks are still kind of in the closet. Can I say that on the show? I guess I did. So, no, they're conservatives, and I'll text you later who I'm talking about. I don't want to embarrass you. I don't want to say
there are a couple that you can't really mention.
His wife says, I can't come on the show because my wife would kill me for not being able to get work. And he's a pretty big name. And but it's like, and he'll call me on stuff. It's like he still like wants to know what's going on. But it's interesting that there's still a stigma, a little bit of a stigma. So last before we go, how do you deal with that stigma? Because you, my friend, have been brave. You've done things that others, but we're all coming back now. But man, oh man, you were in the wilderness for a while. How was that like?
Well, you ever see there's those memes all the kids look at? My son's 25. He lives here with me. And of course, he's not up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Shocker. He's an IT guy, so he works at night. But yeah, there's a big meme, and it's like there's 9,000 people standing there, and there's one person here who says, "You're wrong." And I just think it's a strength of conviction. It's not like this. My morals and my values and the things I believe started yesterday. You know, I've been to 56 different countries. I've lived in Spain for over 20 years. I've had a home there near your Lisbon, Portugal, over in Ibiza. I've had a place there because my son's mother's from there.
Beautiful.
I grew up in Malibu, California, a very liberal bastion, but I'm an athlete. And being an athlete, it's a meritocracy. I don't care your color, your religion, whatever. I care about your character, and I care if you're any good and if you'll be a good teammate. And that's the kind of stuff, that's how I was raised. And so that just made sense to me. So when things were going crazy and people are saying stuff, I just said, it doesn't seem right to me. And I'm not going to remain quiet. My dad, by the way, told me, just keep your mouth shut and don't say much in interviews. I've done the exact opposite. But I can't help it. I feel called to have to say something when I see something ridiculous. And we're only here on this earth for a certain period of time. So I'm going to speak my mind. And people I love it when people are always picking, well, we don't care what an actor says. And that's fine. You don't have to. But like, what do you know? You're just a dumb actor. Well, I don't know. I have traveled the world a lot. I did go to Princeton University. I did play professional football. I am a sworn deputy sheriff. I mean, I have been for almost 10 years now. And I mean, I do other things outside of just acting. So it's a crazy thing. Everybody should be able to have an opinion. Hopefully it's based on facts, not just feelings.
And so, in other words, you're engaged. And by the way, I work for law enforcement in Virginia. I still work for Sheriff Dave Decatur as his
I'm in Virginia.
Homeland Security advisor.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yes.
anyway, we should talk more about this. And by the way,
Yes, sir.
As soon as I'm done here, Dean, I'm going to do my 20 pull-ups and I'm doing a 2-mile run. Just saying. So no, it's like
I got a torn bicep tendon. I can't do pull-ups.
Well, a friend of mine tore his. It's coming back, but I'm careful. But I'm telling you, I refuse to get old prematurely. Just saying.
My man.
So that's the thing.
I'm with you 1,000%.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Dean. We love you. We love being here with you. Thank you for coming on. Patriots love you. And then I'd like to have you back to talk more about the movie once it comes out, because there'll be a lot to talk about regarding what it's like and all that stuff. And then, maybe even have you on with Cherie at some point. That'd be kind of fun.
I'd love that.
So.
Oh, great. Superman and Superwoman. That would be awesome. That would be absolutely
That's right. That's right.
Now, I do want to mention tomorrow, Trixie and Sean and George have a special guest. It's Elena Ruseva. You might know her as the Russian artist who painted the iconic Trump portrait for the White House. So that's going to be interesting. That's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow too. And we're going to be back with you on Monday.
Oh, Dean, by the way, my son, speaking of your son, my son's 18. He's out in Vegas with my ex-wife, just saying. And he works at one of the WOW car washes. So if you go get your car washed at a WOW wash, you may have him moving your car through safely, I might add. So
I'd like to see that. That's awesome. Well, when you're going to come out here, let me know you're going to be out here, boss.
I will. Great. Dean Cain, Superman, the real Superman. Thanks for being here. Patriots, we love you all. We love Dean. We'll see you. I'm off next week because I'm off with the Navy doing Navy stuff. Just saying. So, but Chris will be there, and I'll text you later, Dean. So anyway,
beautiful.
Thanks for being here.
Appreciate you very much, sir.